On today's episode of the Crank Up TV channel, we're going to completely restore the interior on my 1983 Chevy K10 because the entire thing smells like dead mice. Let's get to it. Now, I know some of you guys might be saying, why don't you just clean the interior? Why do you have to restore the whole thing? And the thing is, in order to clean this interior right and get all the mouse scent out of there and whatever mouse droppings might be in there, you have to take the dash out, the seat out, the floor mats out. And by the time you do all that, the dash is already cracked, the seat's already destroyed. Like, I don't even know how you destroy the back of a seat. I don't even understand that. The floor mat is cracked by the four-wheel drive shifter, and in a few other spots it's ripped. And there's just a whole bunch of little things with the truck that don't really look that nice, so I figure if I'm going to have all that stuff out already, I might as well restore the interior and make it look good for when she's my daily driver. So there's a whole bunch of boxes on the roof that I ordered like 3 months ago and never looked at. Hopefully they sent me the right parts, so let's take a look at those and see what we got. So don't worry, this is not going to be like a cringy unboxing video or anything. I literally have no idea what's in these boxes. I know there's like door panels, there should be some seals and fancy interior trim, but I honestly forget the specifics of it. So let's get into this and see what we got for the old Colorado K10. So which one should we open first here? I mean, this one's a lot lighter, so we're going to go with this one. Open. Ooh. Nice door panels here. That's the front side of it for you guys to see. These are so nice. Like, I don't even want to, are my hands clean? Like, heck, clean it up. Like, I don't even want to touch the door panel. Look at this fancy house here, boy. And these are a little different than mine because mine don't have the little grating here, I guess you could say. They're just flat all over. So I think these ones from the factory, I believe they're out of the later 80s trucks. Mine's like 83, so I guess that's early to mid 80s, but that looks pretty nice on there, so I'm pretty happy with that. I do not mind. The nice thing about these LMC door panels, though, if you look here on the back, I don't know how well you guys can see it. Maybe I'll zoom in on it for you, but you can see there's holes that are pre-marked for you wherever you want to put your accessories. Like this would be for power windows and locks, and there's a circle for a crank window. And then there's also the circles here, which are probably really hard to see, but those are for if you have the door pull strap, you can drill the holes in there and put those on. So that's pretty cool. And there's a sticker on it that says okay, so that must mean they're okay. Anyway, let's continue here. We have about 900 AutoZone razor blades. Now we have about 800 AutoZone razor blades. Wow. We've got new door seals. We have a box inside of a box that's going to fall on me. We have another box. We have window cranks here. These are pretty nice. We got the little vents for the dashboard there. Heck yeah, new heat actuator. So that means now we can keep the heat on full blast year round, which I absolutely love. So this little unit here says it causes cancer and reproductive harm. So I just had to get it. Ooh, we're getting fancy today, boys. Check this here out. Wow. These are those door handle trim bezels that go inside your door panel right where your door handle is. So these just make her look a little bit fancier when you're picking up the ladies on a Friday night. I forgot to mention too that we are upgrading the trim on this here fine piece of American machinery behind me here. As you can see on the fender over there, she's a custom deluxe model, but with all these chrome interior appointments that Chevy put it back in the day, that now makes her a Silverado trim level. So that's pretty cool. So we'll be getting a little bit fancier in the times here. No more base model trucks. Time to upgrade just a little bit. Well, now that we know what we have for this old girl, let's jump in the interior and start taking her apart because I'd like to have it done before the head comes back from the machine shop so that I can slap the head on, the interior's already mint, and we can send her on down the road. Well, the first things first, I want to have access to the interior and be able to move around in here when I'm taking the dash out and whatnot. And since the seat's absolutely destroyed and has to come out anyway, we're just going to take it out right now to make it a little bit easier to work in here. There's a bunch of 9/16 bolts holding her in, so I got the snap-on 3/8 long handle ratchet and the 9/16 socket, so let's get to it. Let's see how tight these are in here. I remember when I did them in the neon, they weren't too bad. Now they were pretty bad. Hopefully we can fit the seat out. Well, that's nice. This bolt over here is already missing. See, they did part of the work for me. They knew I was taking out the interior when I bought the truck. What a nice guy he was. Let's see over here. At least they got this one in. 3 out of 4 ain't bad, I'll tell you what. Alrighty, we got all the bolts out and the seat belts are tucked behind the seat now, so we should be able to take her out if I can fit it through the door here and not destroy the wall. So we're just gonna make sure the door lightly taps the toolbox without damaging it, you know, car guy things. And we're gonna see if this little Squarebody bench seat will come out of here. Come here, guys. Gonna scratch the floor up a little bit probably, but that's okay because we're gonna paint the floor also. So where are we getting stuck on? I think we're stuck on the 4-wheel drive shifter coming in. Oh. floors are solid, so that's pretty good. If we had a tilt wheel, I'd literally be able to do this. Dang it, custom deluxe. Why couldn't you give me more options here? Do you bend anymore? Well, we can always buy a new steering wheel. Oh my goodness, my new flannel. You're coming out to the house. Oh, there we go. She broke free. Alright, let's sit her down. Well, here's a closer look at that interior with the bench seat out of there. And as you can see, there's not really any rust on the floor, which is why I drove out to Colorado for this truck, because in Pennsylvania, you're not going to find trucks like this. The next step is to get this vinyl floor mat out here. And the funny thing about the squares, or at least what I think is a funny thing about the squares, is that in the base model or custom deluxe ones, they only gave you a vinyl mat in the area of the floor that you could see. Underneath the seat, they only gave you paint on the floorboard, and that was it. But just a cool little fun fact for you guys, if you might have a higher trim level square, then they would have given you the full carpeting area there. But I guess they wanted to save some money if you weren't paying full price for the Silverado trim there. Well, the rest of the mat is out here. As you can see, the floors look really good underneath here. There's no rust and they're super solid. But the one thing that really intrigued me isn't the floor. It's right underneath here. If you take a gander right down that way, you can see some beautiful radio wiring in there. I mean, look at the job they did on that. I don't understand why people can't just use nice little connectors like this here. Even this is fine. At least the wires aren't exposed to short out against the firewall and or the dash here and just burn the entire truck to the ground. I guess I'll have to take care of that later, but other than that, she looks pretty good. Alrighty, so now that seat's out of there, let's get the sand on this floor and laying down a coat of primer. Well, here she is. Not too bad for a brush paint job, I'd say. You know, at least there's no drips anywhere or anything like that. The main thing we're concerned about with this, though, is just pretty much rust protection. Because like I said, there's going to be another coat of paint going over this. And then the carpet's going to be going over top of that. So it doesn't really have to look the best. As long as it just protects the floor from rotting out, that's pretty much all we need, and we should be good to go. The only thing that sucks about laying down this primer is that it takes 24 hours to dry, so there's not really much else we could do here for today. So I think I'll let this dry for now, and then tomorrow I'll come back and we'll lay down a second coat of paint on top of this one, so I'll see you then. Well, it's the next day, and guess what's still not dry? The primer. It's dry enough to walk on, but it's still wet around the edges of the rocker, so that means it's not completely dry yet, and I really don't want to paint over it, but I also don't want to waste a day of working on this truck, so I think what we're going to do today is we're just going to get this dash out and try to replace the heater core and clean all the mice nests out of the box, because like I said in the beginning, this entire truck smells like a giant dead mouse, and it's not fun to drive that down the highway, so let's get to it. So to get the dashes out of these here Squarebody Chevrolets, the first thing you got to do, I believe, is take this gauge bezel out. This one's kind of cracked and missing a bunch of screws, so it shouldn't be too hard. You just got one in here. That's probably the only screw in the entire dash. This whole unit shows a lot of evidence that it was apart before, so, you know, I'm sure someone was in here, and hopefully they didn't mess with everything too much. I think she's ready to just pop out of here now, so let's see if we can maneuver out without destroying anything. Luckily, she's a manual, so we don't even have to worry about the shift lever getting in the way here. Oh, over the light switch. Oh, look at that. So here's what she looks like behind the old Squarebody Chevrolet dash. If you've never seen one, you got your wipers over there, and you got this here, which would be, I believe, a vent for air conditioning if the truck had it, and this would have been a vent for air conditioning too if the truck had it. But since this is a non-AC unit, you just got a little block off there, and then over here you got a little storage compartment, which you don't really need AC because that's what the wing windows are for over there. Twin 60 AC. Alrighty, so the rest of the screws for the dash seem to be these little 9/32 screws running along the bottom here, so let's get to taking those out. and she's lifting up a little bit. Let's get our speaker wire out of here, you know, let him dangle. The big reveal. Finally, I've been waiting to take this out since I got the truck. It is absolutely destroyed. We don't want to break anything. Let's see what's going on here. Maybe we can just investigate a little bit. Oops. Don't go back in now. Come on out. Oh, look at that. I forgot one in there. There's a little Phillips head. So let's get him out first, and then maybe we won't destroy everything. That might have been smart to check all around the dash instead of just destroying it and ripping it out, but it's already destroyed, so. Just shows you how to use common sense sometimes and look around, but I just can't do that. Let's see how she looks underneath here. So here's what she looks like after being taken apart. As you can see, there's all the decaying pieces of dash in there, probably some mouse droppings mixed in. There's some over there. I'm very tempted to replace the boom booms in her, but I think we're just gonna put the new dash back on and leave them for now, because I believe you can get to them through the glove box with the dash off, at least these two. That one you definitely have to take the dash off, I believe. Maybe not, but we'll find out later. As you can see, the heater controls, yeah, that's why she's not working, because someone just came in here and disconnected her, so we'll hook that back up on the new one. But other than that, these trucks, there's really not that much to them, it seems like, because pretty basic setup here, which is good, and that's why I love working on these old rigs, because pretty simple to work on. You can get most stuff done pretty quickly. I think up next what we're going to do is try to get that heater box out, because your heater core is inside of there, so we'll take that out, disconnect everything, and clean it out, because I'm pretty sure that's probably where the mice are hiding. Can't really see any. Oh, no, there's a little bit of mouse nestage in there, so definitely gonna have to take that out tonight and clean that up, and we'll probably get all this dirt cleaned up before we slap the new dash back on, so let's get to doing that. Alrighty, so I just wanted to show you guys this really quick over here. I'm cleaning up the dashboard. As you remember, this is what it used to look like right here, so it was pretty dirty, but this came out pretty good, and that's just with using this here Scrub and Bubbles heavy duty all-purpose cleaner. And this doesn't have bleach in it or anything, so it's not going to leave a film on there like bleach will, but I think I'm going to keep going with it and just do the rest of it, because this little guy's doing a pretty good job. Heck yeah. Well, it's a new day. Not much got done the other night when I was cleaning the dash off, but we did get the floor painted, so that's pretty good. This truck's been a garage ornament now for way too long, so what I think we're going to do today is just hammer down and start getting this interior back together. Also have to clean the mouse nests out of the heater box, and then we're going to start doing some painting in the cab, because I still have a little more that I want to do on the back wall there. And I picked up some color match paint at a local paint shop, so I think we'll start with that. Alrighty, so here's the paint we wound up going with for the old Colorado K10 here. This is just a single stage spray paint that I picked up at a local shop in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania called Colors. And the cool thing about them is that you can just call them up and give them the year and paint code of whatever vehicle you're painting, and they can mix you up the paint in these little spray cans or in a gallon or quart container just like you'd buy at the store. So thank you to them for getting this done pretty fast. I called them up and they had this done the same day. Let's get to trying it out on the old truck here and see how she works. Well, the back of the cab's all painted up here, and this paint job may not win me any awards at paint shows, but for paint that's going behind a seat that you're not going to see, I think it looks pretty darn good. While that's dry, what we're going to do is we're going to come right on over here and try to get this heater box out, because that's where all the mice are living in. Plus, there's a bunch of mice living in the vents up there, so I think there's only a few bolts to pop this unit out, so let's get to it. Well, there's 3 nuts in the engine bay that they want you to take off too, and then the whole thing just comes loose, I believe, so really not too hard to get one of these things out. Oh, and if you're looking at the engine that still doesn't have a head on it, we have a surprise with that in the next episode, so stick around for that. Oh, she just, come here. Why do you have to be so violent? Doesn't want to move anymore. Well, I think she broke free. Well, would you look at that? The designers at Chevy knew that when you undid the bolts from underneath the hood there, the heater box would just fall, and they designed a dashboard to catch it perfectly just like that, but already I'm seeing some mouse nests in there, so let's get the rest of this thing out. We'll see what it looks like inside there. Well, I wonder why I barely had any heat in the truck. I can't imagine what would cause it not to work that well. You can see we definitely had some mice running around in here, and they pretty much just have a whole playground in this little box here, because they can start at the front here where the heater core is, where it's nice and warm, and they just squeeze on through here, come up through here, and then that just leads right into there, where they can come out the vents. Well, there were blockers on the vents there, but they could just run around the vents there and have a grand old time. You can see they were even getting in right on over there. So we're going to have to clean that out too. But we actually might not have to replace this heater core because as you can see, the fins really don't look all that bad in there. And I've heard the aftermarket heater cores sometimes don't fit all that great. So if this one's not leaking, we'll probably just throw him back in. But let's start by taking all the mice nests out of here and see what we're working with. Well, I have the heater box set up in another box, and I also have some of the scrubbing bubbles here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get this old girl cleaned out, and hopefully we can save some stuff and it's just not completely destroyed. Oh, that looks nice. There's just so much junk here. Oh, that is nice. Get some of this junk out of there. There we go. Oh yeah, look at that little mint unit. Yeah, she's probably been in there a while. There's some discoloration on the cooling fins here, so maybe we will wind up replacing her after all. Oh, that was nice. But she's broken free. Heck yeah. Well, it's actually not as bad as I thought in here. We might have been fine with just leaving that cover on there, but since we have it off now, let's go get this thing cleaned out. Well, I figure while the heater box is soaking in some disinfectant, we might as well come on underneath the hood and change the blower motor. And since we're right by the resistor, we might as well get that changed out too. This will give us access to inside the cab because there's still a ton of mouse nests in there that I want to get out. So let's get done doing these bolts. Let's see. Oh, look at that. There's like 18 years of just Colorado mud in there and dirt. Do they have mud in Colorado? I think it's mostly dirt because it's so dry out there. And then it turns to mud. Well, I guess the mice living in this truck didn't want the guy driving to have heat because if you look right here, they chewed completely through that blower motor fin. And I think there's only like 3 fins on here that don't have bite marks in them. So we're definitely going to be replacing this so that way I don't have teeth shooting out at me when I turn the heat on. Well, let's see if we can get this resistor out. I tried a little bit and it was kind of stuck. I really don't want to break the connector for it. But if I break the actual resistor, I'm not too worried because they do make them brand new. She just doesn't want to come out of here. Oh. Let's take a gander at her. Oh. Yeah, she's definitely a little bit corroded, so I don't even know. It was still working, I believe. I think I had all 4 fan settings, but it's definitely getting replaced now because that looks terrible. Like, and it's just stuck to the harness, so I don't know what we're going to do about that. Oh. Well, yeah, she's definitely getting replaced. Well, time to find a new home, mice. Well, I got the inside of the truck all vacuumed out, and I came out here to vacuum out the blower motor box, and I just figured it would probably be easier to take it off because, you know what, we're already here, we might as well do the job right, so that's what we're going to do now. I don't know why Chevy has to make these screws like impossible to get to. They make 3 nice and easy ones, and then they just trick you and give you one where they're like, nope, you got to take your inner fender out, but I'm not going to do that. Come here, little son. Well, I think we just about got her out. Oh, look at this, that's nice. Well, guess we have some other problems. I'll bring you guys in here for that. So apparently this is a pretty common area on the square bodies to rot out because if you see they make the seam in here, and from what I researched that they didn't paint inside of here from the factory, so they kind of just put this metal over this metal, didn't paint inside of here, and then water comes in from the cowl and kind of rots her out. But there's the hole that we're looking at. Hopefully the rest of this is decently solid. Over here it's kind of starting some surface rust too, but if the rest of this is solid, I think we could just cut out this little square here and then patch her up and we should be good to go. I'm going to call my buddy John over to weld her up because I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to welding. Alrighty guys, well, John finally showed up here, and like I said, since I know absolutely nothing about welding, I'm going to flip the camera around and let him explain to you what we're going to be doing here, so let's get to it. Alrighty guys, so due to the witness protection program, John can't really show his face on camera, so he's going to use hand motions to explain to you what's going on here.
Well, we got 2 layers of metal. And so if we can save it, I don't want to have to touch more of the top one than I can. So we're just going to try to slice her off up here underneath these spot welds because your spot welds go along here. So if I can keep under it, all we have to do is cut off this piece and then patch the bottom. But if it's way too far gone, we're going to have to cut her up. All ridiculous like. And
where's the Milwaukee?
And, you know. Hey, yo, witness protection. We're going to have to cut her way up here, and then do a nice big patch up there to get that first layer looking all right.
I guess we know that's solid back there now.
Yeah, that's solid material.
Just attacked it with the marker.
That's real Chevy steel.
Oh,
no Chinesium in there.
That's right. Alright, so let me bring you guys in here to show you what we're doing since we have made a little bit of progress. We did find that there was another hole right here. This was the original hole here, and while John was grinding, this one showed up, so we're going to fix that too. Luckily, it's still in this region here, but then there's this kind of problem one right here where he's right on the spot weld, but John thinks that since the cowl starts up here, we might be able to just cut him out around here and put a new piece of metal in there, and we should be good to go. Luckily, the metal's not as rotted as I thought it was going to be. Honestly, I was expecting it to be a lot worse. I thought once we cut back that first piece that it was going to go all the way up into the cab. Also, I really wasn't expecting to be doing this repair tonight. I really just thought I'd be putting the interior back together, but stuff like this happens, and I do want to get this truck done right because it's going to be my daily driver, and I don't want any Bond in it or anything, unless it's just to smooth her out, but I don't want to be patching like 3-foot holes with a bunch of body filler. So let's get back to cutting this out and welding some clean sheet metal back in there. Heck yeah. Well, here's the finished product of all that welding. As you can see, the repair was done right about there like I showed you, and you can't really even tell that it was there minus the crudely drawn Sharpie marker, but I think it looks pretty good, so I'm just going to have to get the rest of this cleaned up, and I think to get this little blower motor box back in, I'm going to have to take out the inner fender. So I started doing that, and then I came over here, and oh yeah, I just found all this nice little mouse nest in there. That was behind the battery box and coolant overflow, so I'm going to have to get that dug out of there. And they even like left a napkin in there for me, just in case I wanted to clean it up. Look at that, what nice mice they were. Well, we got the heater box in. It took a little bit longer than expected because of course it just wanted to fight me the whole way, but she's in there now, and I think we'll be getting some pretty good heat with that new heater core. Other than that, we have the brand new dash sitting right here, and we got this one from a company called Dashes Direct. And the reason I got it from them, to be honest with you, is just because out of all the places I looked at, they had the cheapest one in the color that I wanted. So we're going to be throwing that on there, and hopefully she fits pretty nice, being that it's a little more of an inexpensive dash. But before we do that, we got to give her the goods. And you might be saying, Crank 'em TV, what are the goods? Well, I'm going to show you. So the first amount of goodness we got for her is this right here. Well, this is actually off the old dash, but we do need to harvest this here custom Deluxe logo off her because that is going on this even greater goodness right here. This is a nice brushed aluminum trim piece that I got from LMC Truck. And this thing looks pretty mint, so it'll make her look just a little bit fancier when we're cruising down the road. And, oh, look at that. It's actually broken. So we might have to call up LMC and see if we can get this exchanged. That's the only bad thing about buying your parts like 6 months in advance is that now when you actually need to put them on, if you find out something's broken, they're going to be like, why didn't you tell us this 6 months ago? But we'll see what happens. Alrighty, so I test fit the dash really quick, and it turns out it's actually blocking these mounting holes for the gauge bezel. So I think what we're going to do first is put in the gauge bezel so that way we can line up the dash properly and make sure we're not blocking anything. So this whole unit here just slips right over the gauges just like that. Super easy to install, just has 2 little tabs to help you line her up. Now let's just seat you on in there, Hoss. Well, I got this whole unit cleaned up too, so let's slap her on there and then we should be ready to move on the dash. This should just go in there pretty nicely, I hope. Maybe not. I think we gotta move the heater control just a little bit there. She's in. Alright. This is the moment I've been waiting for since I was in Colorado and I was like, man, this truck needs a dash. Let's see what we can do here. So I want to go behind it, maybe? I don't know. Alright. Let's take this bezel out again. And then put the dash on, and then put this bezel back in, and we can trim whatever we need to make her fit. So now it should just snap in there, I believe. Well, I got the dash all bolted in the truck here, and as you can see, it looks pretty darn good. I don't think I've ever seen one of these trucks without a cracked dash, but they do look nice when they're not all destroyed. Right over here, so I had to do some trimming on the dashboard because it was hitting the weather stripping on the window. And on this side, a little bit was hitting the A-pillar too, so I had to get that trimmed off. Other than that though, fitting there pretty good, and I think the next step is to get this gauge bezel in, and then we can get to putting on the door panels. Alrighty, so to pop one of these door panels off, it's pretty simple. All you gotta do is pop your old window crank off here, put it on the seat that we installed off camera, and then come over here and take out your door lock knob because we have new fancy ones that we got. There we go, she's gone. Then you just come right on in here. And you want to get your armrest screws out if they want to come out. If they don't, then you just ask them nicely, do you want to come out? They said no. So we're going to force them to come out anyway. Oh yeah, she's out. All right, and there's one screw that they give you here that's already loose. So that's pretty good. Get him on out of there. But we won't throw him across the room because just in case the other screws that they gave us don't fit, we want to still save him here. Then you just come right on in here, I think. And it should just pop out by squeezing the thing. There's screws on the bottom too, I forgot about them. There we go. Oh boy. 40 years of Colorado dirt. Look at that. What's this here? Build sheet? A scroll? Ooh. That cleaned up better than I do, so I think the next step is going to be to throw some of this PB Blaster silicone grease on everything, just to make sure everything moves nice and free before we throw that door panel on. We're going to put up our window and everything just locks up on us, so let's get to doing that. Just really douse her in there, so that way they work great. Ooh, that's pretty nice. Alrighty, door panel, time to go on here. Alrighty, so now all we have left to do to this door panel here is just put a few more screws in, get the bezel for the handle on here, slap that window cranker on, and I think the interior will be just about complete. So let's get to finishing her up. So a quick little tip before you put your window cranker on here, don't commit to putting her on just yet. Leave that little clip out, and then you can do one of these numbers here. Put her on, and she won't stick on you. And then you can roll your winder all the way up here. And then you can see which way you want her to face when the winder's all the way up, just by coming on in here and getting the clip on. This will take me like 3 years, so bear with me. Alrighty, pop your clip in, and then put your little cover on there just like that. Then you can see, when the window's all the way up, you don't want her to be facing your knee, because every time you move your knee, you're going to slam into her and probably just throw the thing apart just like that. So what you want to do is you want her to face that away from your leg, and you can just put her on just like that with the window all the way up. Make the final adjustment here. Put her on not once, but twice. Actually, just once, because you did it right. And there we go. And now, look at that beauty. Now when you're sitting in the old pick-em-up truck, you don't got to worry about this being like that and slamming into your leg every time you want to move around. Beautiful. Now we just slide our old bezel onto here, just like so. Now all we got to do is get this old girl secured in here, and I think the interior is finally complete. Well guys, there you have it. After a long wait, the whole interior is finally complete. Now she doesn't look too bad, but I think there is one thing she's missing that every old truck needs to have, so just give me 1 second here. There we go, that's a little bit better. Now I'm not 100% sure how I feel about the Saddleman seat cover. I thought I'd really like it, and then once I put it in the truck, I was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about it, but it is better than having this little rip in the seat exposed right there, so it covers her up pretty nice, and it still gives her that little bit of Western feel since she's from Colorado. And for anyone wondering where the carpet is in the truck, I don't want to put the carpet in just yet because I'm not sure if anything leaks in the truck, like the windows or door seals, so we're going to leave the carpet out just for now, so that way I don't find out after it rains that the carpet's completely drenched and all my insulation is drenched, and I have to rip it out, and, you know, it's just not going to be fun. So for now, we're just going to leave it the bare metal floor, but I am going to put some floor mats down just so I don't scratch up my brand new paint when I'm getting in and out of her. Well, guys, I think that's going to about wrap it up for today's video. I know it was a little bit of a longer one, but I hope you enjoyed seeing the restoration process of the old interior over here. Now that the inside of the truck's looking great, what we're going to do on the next episode is make the outside hopefully look just as good. But if you want to see that, you'll have to stick around for the next one right here on the Crank 'Em TV channel.